In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern. We do have some very interesting storms on the way, especially that East Coast system that we're going to be tracking very closely. It does have some tropical components as well. We're also going to be looking into a plains and Midwest system that could be quite major, diving into that one, taking a look at the temperature pattern, total precipitation, and even the tropics. Now, before we dive into things, be sure to check out Prestige Weather, where we're going to be doing a 99-cent for your first month deal once more. It's only $5 typically, but we're doing only $1 for your first month. That's an automatic discount, so you don't even need to put a code in. We're doing a September photo contest in there where the winner receives $50, so be sure to check that out, as well as our second winter forecast, which is now officially available within Prestige Weather today. So be sure to check out all of that on your top right corner of your screen below this video and get signed up today at that killer price. As we just dive into things, the past 7 days, as you can see, are warming across the east, as I kind of mentioned they would. We see this southeast corridor holding on to some cooler air, but overall over the past 7 days, the trend has been warmer, as you guys can probably feel outside. So this should ultimately end up being warmer once we're about 3 or 4 days from now. We do see some cooler air also trending into the west, that negative PNA, which is a big part of why this warmth has spread into the east here. As we take a look at the past 14 days, you can see it's very much the opposite. Cold in the east over the entire past 14 days, and overall a positive PNA over the west, and this was the dominant pattern for the first week and a half of September. This forced the cold air southward from Canada, hence those 2 Arctic blasts that we saw. That pattern is all but said and done for now. As we take a look at the past 14 days of precipitation, we do see some above average amounts throughout the plains, Rockies, into the kind of Pacific Northwest, not near the coast there, but more so for eastern Washington, eastern Oregon there. Very interesting. We also see across the deeper south, southeast, into the south central states as well. We had quite a bit above average precipitation here, with much drier conditions across the Midwest, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, into the Northeast there, which is really on par with what we've seen. Now, definitely pay attention to this. These are the areas that are seeing a lot of precipitation here over the next few days, and things have been so much drier than what's normal. That's going to have huge implications because heavy rainfall on very dry soil does not mix well. Matter of fact, it doesn't really mix at all, and that's the problem. It's kind of just going to sit on top of it, so that my concern for flooding is a little bit elevated compared to what it typically would be. Let's take a look here overall at the upcoming pattern. We see for this afternoon into the evening, we do see heavier precipitation starting up for especially the Carolinas there. Northern South Carolina, southern North Carolina being the bullseye here, with that low pressure system basically right overhead. We do see a weaker low over the west, and this is creating some broad showers, also some broad snowfall here across Nevada into the Sierra Nevadas. So we are seeing some more snowfall there out west. Some showers are prevailing across the deeper south all the way up the upper Midwest here. Jet stream overall is a trough in the west, ridge here over the central states, and overall kind of neutral in the east, which is what we've been dealing with for a few days now. As we just take a look here at Tuesday afternoon, tomorrow on September 17th, heavier precipitation across the Carolinas, Mid-Atlantic, Southeast here. The Rockies really a focus point here for a lot of this precipitation. We see heavier showers across this region, snowfall from Utah down through Colorado, Wyoming here. Those are mostly for obviously the higher elevations, but definitely some early season snowfall there. A stronger low near eastern Montana, and a weaker low down here for New Mexico. These are working in tandem to create a lot of this precipitation that we're seeing on screen. As we move towards Wednesday afternoon on September 18th, what you see is this very strong low over eastern Montana is bringing heavy precipitation for Montana into south central Canada. Some snowfall between Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming can be expected. Still, the southeast into the mid-Atlantic is seeing precipitation here, so definitely an interesting pattern that we find ourselves in. Thursday on September 19th, that low has now moved up into Canada here, just like this. And what we're kind of left with is a ridge mostly centered over the deep south into the Midwest. Some cooler air still able to make its way down the East Coast, but the coldest is going to be for the west here, with the jet stream overall something like this is what we're seeing. So a very strong ridge in the middle with two coastal troughs. As we take a look here at Friday afternoon on September 20th, we're seeing a much quieter pattern. There is some sporadic precipitation around for some areas, but really no huge storms across the nation as we're approaching the weekend here. Saturday, that all looks to change. So Saturday on the 21st here, we see a weaker low starting out for Colorado, bringing precipitation throughout the southern and central Rockies into the central plains there, like Nebraska and Kansas. This could feature thunderstorms, heavy showers, and even some snowfall, especially in Colorado, in those very, very tall mountains out there in the Rockies. As we just continue this forward towards Sunday, on September 22nd, we see some of that snowfall still for the Canadian Rockies, or the Colorado Rockies, better yet. This low is now over northwestern Kansas, and we see kind of a bulge there of heavy precipitation both to the east, north, and west of that low pressure system. So this is bringing some pretty intense precipitation there. Here is Monday on the 23rd, and we see this low racing off to the northeast, now over South Dakota, bringing mostly the Midwest here precipitation. We do have a stronger low moving on to coastal Canada, where we see the kind of northern west coast of Canada seeing heavy snowfall from this. Mostly the Pacific Northwest and areas across British Columbia can anticipate a heavy rainmaker there as that low moves on shore. We do have a coastal low as well nearby the East Coast. This one could bring some implications to the Mid-Atlantic, Southeast, and even Southern New England there. We're going to be watching that, but this particular model kind of moves away from that. This could move towards the East Coast, though, or even northward, which would bring impacts. Now, for Tuesday on the 24th, we're seeing precipitation across the Pacific Northwest and the upper Midwest, but really, really quiet across a lot of the states here. Wednesday, a lot of the same, except that we see some heavier precipitation across the deep south and the Pacific Northwest here. Even the Canadian Cascades and Rockies seeing some snowfall here. So a sign of the times as we're moving closer and closer to winter. And here goes that low. This is Thursday on the 26th, and we see this low now approaching the Mid-Atlantic. Take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, this is closer to 10 days out, so definitely something that we're watching, but probably something that will look a little bit different as we get closer. Still, though, we're featuring a trough out west, trough in the east, where we see more neutral temperatures, maybe even down the east coast here. A huge ridge, especially across the central states, where we should see very far above normal temperatures for the south central, central, and north central states. And then for the Pacific Northwest, well below normal temperatures here. Total precipitation, we see the Pacific Northwest in the above average category with heavy, heavy precipitation expected. The Rockies into the northern plains and upper Midwest, same story. And then the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast, where we see this tropical system moving onshore. A few inches of rainfall is expected, where again, flooding is a big concern for me at this point. As we take a look at the averages, it's just as I kind of mentioned, although we're closer to average for the Pacific Northwest, which is a little surprising. But from the Sierra Nevada into the northern Rockies and then extending into the plains here, even the Canadian plains, here we're seeing above average precipitation for all of these areas. And then we see Mid-Atlantic into the southeast a little bit, well above average precipitation for the next 15 days. Should be a major flooding concern, as we're expecting 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5+ inches of rainfall for some spots in very dry areas. Again, this isn't guaranteed to bring major flooding, but that risk is going to be a little bit more elevated than you would typically expect, in my opinion. As we take a look at the total snowfall, we see out west for Canada and the United States, we're expecting mountainous snowfall. So let's zoom into it here, take a look, and we see potentially about a foot for the Colorado Rockies, the Yellowstone area, and the Sierra Nevada, maybe closer to 10 inches there for the Sierra Nevada. We overall expect anywhere from a dusting to multiple inches for a lot of your Rocky Mountains here. Definitely going to be very interesting. All of these mountainous west areas expecting some snow-capped mountains over the coming days. Now, the temperature pattern, like I said, cooler along the East Coast is really the trend. The West is really cold and warm across the central states. Again, this is really what we're expecting a lot of. Below normal temperatures out west, negative PNA, warm surging through the plains and the Midwest and Great Lakes. and then kind of more neutral to below normal for that eastern seaboard here. And we're seeing a lot of this. This is the 21st. As we keep going, we really see a lot of the same. The East Coast stays cooler. The only thing I can say is that towards the end, we start to see this trend of a warmer southwest. This could start to try to force that cold eastward, but we want to see this warmth pushing further up that west coast for that to finally occur. For now, colder along the northwest and southwest of Canada, warmer across the southwest and central states here, and then still cooler along that immediate east coast area throughout the mid-Atlantic, southeast, and a little bit into the northeast, even as we approach late September. As we take a look here at the tropics, we do have potential tropical cyclone 8 right there near the Carolina coast. We're going to take a look at that, and then tropical depression Gordon. So here is that potential tropical cyclone 8. Not really expecting this one to become a named storm at this point. It did underperform a little bit, which is really good news. We do have sustained winds of 40 miles per hour there, but it really is going to have to happen like here within the next hour or two, this becoming a tropical storm, for this to be a tropical storm at any point, because it's going to be hitting the land likely in the northern coast of South Carolina there. We do, however, have tropical storm warnings up the northern coast of South Carolina and the southern coast of North Carolina, as this storm should be still a very impactful coastal system. Storm surge, wind, heavy rainfall, even flooding, like I mentioned, should be concerns there. As we take a look at Gordon, we see this northern slow curve is about to take place, and we should regain tropical storm status by Wednesday and kind of keep going with that northern trajectory all the way through Saturday, where it remains a tropical storm there. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe, as we do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.